What was the moment you realized this dream was possible despite the challenges you faced?
Well, I think when I first started thinking of being a doctor, it was when I was about 6 years old, and that was because we had a fantastic GP, so like a family medicine doctor, and she was brilliant. She helped our family get through a lot of difficult times, like domestic violence, and we were living in poverty. And she was someone who wasn't just good medically; she was really good socially as well. And I really liked the impact she had on our family's life, because a lot of people who I grew up around, and even a lot of family members we had people kind of going into a straight pipeline into, for example, crime. There's people that I know who were killed in crime, people who went to jail around me. I have my own friends that were killed, and I actually grew up in a community that was like that. And I think when I saw how my GP helped me out as a kid, I was like, oh, she was brilliant. Like, I want to be like her. But when I got a bit older, when I was about a teenage, like in about year 7 or year 8. So when I was about 13 years old, I started to realize that it wasn't just that it was cool. I thought it was absolutely vital that there's people like my general practitioner who are around who can help the community. And I think once I started to realize it could potentially be a reality was probably when I was about in year 11 or 12. So that's about almost the final year of high schooling in Australia. And that's when you really are starting to think like, which degree do you want to do at university and all that important stuff. And although there wasn't anyone around me in my family or my school or my community who ever made it into medicine, I was just always like inspired by our mum. She was the first in her whole bloodline to ever go to university. And so when I saw her achieve things and saw her sort of graduate, that made me think that I could do the same thing. And very interestingly enough, I eventually got into medicine after 4 years of applying. So I got rejected multiple times, but I kept
Wow.
at it because I knew that my heart was very pure. Like I really did want to go in for the right reasons. I want to help my community. And so the little setbacks, I said, look, that's fine. I'm just glad that I could even be in university in the first place. I was just so happy to be there. And so I took every opportunity I could. And eventually, thanks to my GP, thanks to a lot of charities that supported me growing up, I was able to finally make it in.
Like, what were you doing when you were like in the during year one to year first to third attempt? And then like
Yeah.
what kept you going?
I think the main thing that kept me going was just knowing that my story wasn't the only one. So although like my family had quite significant things that popped up, like domestic violence and things of that nature, and poverty and so on and so forth, the thing that kept me going was when I was a teenager, especially probably when I matured a bit. So probably toward the end of my schooling, I started to realize that my story wasn't like a unique story. So we lived in government housing, like. Uh, until I was about 18 years old. And I realized that the unit that I lived in, when I was a kid, I thought it was very normal to hear my neighbors and people living around me. You could literally hear violence happening in the house. And
Mm.
there were, and if you don't mind me saying something a bit graphic, but there were like times where I'd come back from school when I was about kindergarten or year one, and I would literally see like women being pulled by their hair down the stairs, and they'll literally be like stuck in front of my doorway. And it was so normal to me that I'd open the door, I'll just walk over them and sit down and watch ABC for kids because was
Wow.
so exposed to it that I thought it was normal. And as I got older, I started to realize that, hold on, this is not normal. This is not like, that's not the way relationships should be. And that's not the way kids should be treated and so on and so forth. And I really reflected on, who are the people in my community that can make this better. And instantly I thought about my general practitioner. And I said, the way that she helped us, the way that she put us in touch with charities, the way that she reassured my mum, the way that she not only said, go for this, leave this relationship, she also helped us throughout the whole thing. I thought, what an amazing and important career being a doctor can be. And so despite me getting rejected so many times, I said, this is so important to me. Without that, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I said, like, if this takes a million attempts, I'm going to do a million attempts. And I guess to answer the other question of what I was doing in the meantime, I did a neuroscience degree. So I just thought I was a bit interested in that one. So I finished that degree, and on my summer holidays, I was doing like internships, like with like this place that does hearing implants. They're called Cochlear, and I thought that was just it was just a nice experience. And I did that for 3 years. And once I got to the end of my degree, I luckily got into medical school, and then now I'm finished medical school.
With those adversities and personal experiences that you've been through growing up in that type of environment, has it played a part in shaping the way that you connect with your patients today?
Yeah, 100%. Like, in the hospital that I'm working, I work in a Western Sydney hospital,
Mm,
and everyone that like I see, they literally just feel like they're my neighbors, my uncles, my aunties, my grandmas, and all that. And it's literally to the point where I actually call them like my uncles and aunties. Like when I see them, I say, "Auntie, like this is what the go is. We need to start this medication for this reason." Like, like I actually speak to them like that.
yeah.
And a lot of the patients, they tell me, "You remind me of my nephew. You remind me of my son." And it's just because we have a lot of shared experiences. And I think that like more than anything, more than religion, more than like race, more than skin color, more all of that, I
Mm,
think shared experiences are something that really bring people together. And I think that that really plays out in the way that I speak to patients. And I have seen that, I've been able to sometimes connect with patients in a way that other people might not be able to. So
mm,
sometimes they might not want particular treatments, even though some of the other doctors have recommended it. But then when I talk to them and I say, like, this is why we're doing it and this is what we're doing it for, they say, oh, you know what, I think that is a good idea. Even though like the other doctor said the exact same thing, it just sometimes is that they just connect with you in a more, I guess, personal way. So it definitely has been like an important part. And I think that my priorities are also sometimes a bit interesting. So like for
mm,
other people, when they see like a social sort of thing pop up, for example, if you're aware of like Centrelink, which is like the government scheme of thing, when they have Centrelink forms, for me, I see that as number one priority sometimes, depending on like the patient's sort of life.
mm,
Whereas for other people, they can just say, "Oh, look, that's not important right now. We need to take care of their health." But the thing is, that person has literally no money in the bank, and there's nothing like. And I lived through that myself, and so I will do those forms as a matter of like urgency. If that means I have to stay back, like I'm gonna do it because I remember when I was growing up, we grew up on Centrelink, and if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be able to be living. And so there's just certain things that I think, from my own lived experience, I kind of focus on a bit more. And yeah, I definitely do think it does shape the way I interact with patients and also the way that they see me as well.
Tell us about your whole like social media aspect of your advocacy.
Yeah, yes. The reason why I'm laughing is because I was so shy. Like thinking of jumping on social media was totally like out of the question. So
Right.
I had a brother, he used to do YouTube, like quite a few years ago, and he had like 100,000 subscribers, like in 2018. Like he had like a lot of social media stuff, and he always told me, like, look, Fad, you're always jumping on forums and helping people anonymously. Like, why don't you be one of the first people in Australia that just helps people get into medicine, and just talk
mm,
about the UCAT, which is the exam that we do and stuff. And
yeah.
I said, no way. And I had this strange belief, believe it or not. I said, oh, if you're on social media, it means you're a show off. Like that's what I thought, like
Yeah.
back in the day. And I think the reason why I thought that was it was sort of like a protective thing for myself. So
Mm,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it because I'm shy. I'm not doing it because I'm not a show off. Like that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
think to myself.
yeah.
And so the first ever video I ever recorded, it was a 15 or 16-second clip, and it was just an intro to like, hey, my name is Fahad. I'm a medical student. I want to teach you how to get into medicine. I want to teach you how to do the UCAT, and leave any questions in the comments. It was literally like 15 seconds. It
Mm.
took me 6 hours to record that video. Believe it or not, 6 hours for a 15-second clip. And I
Yeah.
was like, I don't like how my face looks. I don't like how this looks. I don't like how this sounds. And it really took me about 1.5 years of my brother convincing me to finally start something on social media. He said, you'll be great on it. And I just said no for 1.5 years. And once I started, it was extremely like a lot of people loved it. And I think because I was one of the first people to do it in Australia,
Mm,
it grew very, very quickly.
What is the vision for the future for you? If there is one thing you can sort of change, what are you going to change for the industry?
Maybe instead of like a particular mission, maybe it's something I really hope that we could kind of work towards as like a community is maybe, I guess, having, medical professionals and, or, us as a body, basically being people who are not afraid to say the things that are right. And I think that a lot of people are very scared to say things that are right. And I think a lot of times people usually are scared because getting into certain training programs and I want to be if someone wants to be like a neuro something surgeon or whatever, you got to really follow the line and you don't want to like step on anyone's toes and you don't want to say the wrong thing. And I think that unfortunately, like as doctors, we have a very like powerful position and as healthcare workers in general, you have a very powerful position, which you can use for a lot of good. But if we have a lot of doctors that are just afraid to say very simple things that are correct and very simple things that are right, I think that's going to be a, I mean, I feel like that's how it is at the moment. I think that's a very sad sort of reality, because when I was growing up, I always saw doctors in my community being very outspoken. They were being like very clear leaders. Whereas I feel that sometimes people are just a bit afraid to speak out. And I think that with the stuff like the doctor strike, seeing like all the doctors come out and do the same thing, and then seeing the nurses and midwives doing the same thing, I feel like that gives me a lot of hope that people are ready to speak about things that are right and not afraid to rock the boat if it means something, that's if it means that you're going to get a good outcome. And so I think that would probably be like a really big vision. And obviously for me personally, like I am in touch with a lot of medical students from Gaza. So I'm in a WhatsApp chat with about 25 of them. Um, it's honestly very horrible. Like one of them, their brother was killed yesterday or 2 days ago. One of my colleagues from Australia, she's a nurse. She had 17 family members killed since 2023, including one about 2 days ago. And we are in touch with like a lot of doctors that are there. Some of them were tortured in jails and so, and it's just like I feel that a lot of people are just afraid to say things that are right, and I think that's not a very controversial thing to say. Oh, kids shouldn't be amputees, like if they don't need to be, and so on and so forth. So I think just having healthcare workers being brave enough to say the right thing, I think that would be something that I would love to work towards in the future, and hopefully lead as an example if I possibly can. So.
Yeah, well, so I guess we actually lied to you. You are this month's or our third ever Healthcare Hero Awards winner.
Oh, fantastic!
And
Thank you very
you'll be
much.
winning $3,000 cash from us, which we are so excited to award you this prize.
That's so kind of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry for lying.
No, but you can lie to me more, like lie to me again in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, normally we like try to coordinate with the the nominator.
Yes.
But
He
they
was
just
he was unwell this week, so he was unable to make it. It's the first time that we've
Yeah.
had the initial meeting with the winner themselves. So which is why we had to keep it a little bit vague. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
no,
noticed.
yeah. Fair enough. That's honestly really kind of you guys. Like, I'm really thankful for that. Honestly, I'm just gonna donate it to my colleagues in Gaza. Like, I don't want to keep any of the money. And I have a lot of people that I'm in touch with, like medical students, stuff like that. So I'm not gonna keep any of it. I'm gonna donate it straight to them. Hopefully, stay true to the words that I said in this interview.
That's
wow.
so kind.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much. This is fantastic. That was a brilliant surprise at the end.
Yeah, I mean the fact that you're gonna donate it right away really goes to show like you deserve it. And I'm very happy that the money's gonna go to Gaza.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate you, team.